today I have a pretty big undertaking because I am going to be sharing with you all of the viral foundations that I've tried and giving you my thoughts on them. As a viewer, you're probably overwhelmed with all of the foundations that are out there on the market, so my hope for this video is to help you find the perfect one for you. Remember, everybody has different skin types, different needs, and different preferences. For reference, I do have normal to dry skin. Lately, it's been leaning a little bit more dry. I have acne-prone skin. I am the beginning stages of fine lines, discoloration, all of that really fun stuff. So today I have 21 of the most viral foundations that I'm going to be demoing for you today and giving you my review on those. However, the foundation market is one of the most popular markets in this industry, so I have in total about almost 50, about 45 foundations that I'm going to be trying for you in part 2. So this one is more of the newer, more viral and trendy foundations, and then part 2 I'll have more of the classics. You know, think Armani Luminous Silk, Estee Lauder Double Wear. So if you notice anything missing today, it will probably be in part 2. There were some that I wasn't sure which one to put them in, so I just numerically put them where I could have the most even number. And I also already have done a viral skin tint version of this, so if you're looking for something but it has the word tint in it, or tinted moisturizer, that's in my viral skin tints video that I will put down below for you guys. I've also already done concealers and a video on the most recent and new viral blushes that have launched. And then last bit of housekeeping here. This is not a rankings video, however, just to make it easier for you guys so that it's clear what I like and what I don't like, I'm starting with foundations that I don't like so much, and then we're going to finish with more of my top favorites towards the end of the video. But it's not a rankings. But like, if it's in the beginning of this video, I probably don't recommend it. But come on, come in. Bare-faced and beautiful for the demos. So the first one that I have, it probably is my least favorite in this video. It's the Patrick Ta Major Skin Cream Foundation and Finishing Powder Duo. It is $52. Not all of these are going to be shade matches for me. I've purchased these all or received them in PR in various stages of life and levels of tan. I gotta be honest here, I really hate this foundation. I think it's awful, but a lot of people do love it. This is a viral video, so there's a big group of people who very much enjoy these products. It's so thick, it even looks thick in the pan. What's unique about this is there's a powder at the bottom. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm using my IT Cosmetics number 7 brush, and I'm trying to put as light a layer as possible because the way that I can make this tolerable on my skin is to have as light of a layer as possible. But I feel like this always looks very thick and heavy on my skin. It emphasizes my dry patches. I feel like you'd have better luck with this foundation if you have oily skin. But on my skin, it just dries it out. Oh, I almost dropped it. It sits so heavy on the skin. Turn the lights down so you can see. They say it's a blendable medium coverage cream foundation, and then the powder is satin. I just hate the way this sits on my skin. There's no saving grace to this for me other than I like the packaging, and I think the idea of it's very portable. I like that there's a powder in it. I don't even like the powder in here. It just does not look pretty on my skin, and once I start to layer it with other products and pairing it with other products, it'll continue to look worse and worse. But a foundation at base is gonna look its best like this with nothing else. But yeah, I don't like this foundation. Don't recommend it. So this next one I have a lot of guilt about because in my first impressions, I actually recommended it. And it's very rare that that happens. I find that my first impressions, I tend to stick to them for the most part. But this is one where I started doing half faces with other products and I was like, wait, this is awful. Maybe not awful, it's not terrible, but this is the Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop Stick Blur and Smooth Tint Stick Foundation. It's a mouthful. It's $36. I have the shade number 6. So I think in the first impressions, what was so impressive is how easily this glides over the skin and how easy it is to blend out. It really is such a malleable formula, which makes it stand out as a product. But I just find that when I push it into the skin, even though, look at this, like butter, it sits on top of the skin. I can never get it to like go into the skin, soak into the skin. You can always just tell that I have this product quite literally sitting on the skin. It emphasizes dry patches. It doesn't do me any favors. They say it's hydrating, medium coverage, long wearing. I literally disagree with all of that. Maybe it's a little bit hydrating by feel and by the nature of it, but it doesn't look hydrating. Every time I've paired this with a different foundation on the other half of my face, probably besides today, since I do have my least favorite foundation on the face, it literally looks like it's on another layer of skin on top of it. It lays on top of the hairs. It's unfortunate, and I'm still apologizing about my first impressions. If I encouraged you to buy it, I swear, normally I'm right in my first impressions, but I think I've made it clear how much I don't like this. So this one's not for me. I have another stick. This is the ABH Beauty Balm Serum Boosted Skin Tint. So pretty much everything I dislike about the Fenty, I also dislike about this, where I feel like it sits on top of the skin. But the key here is that it says it's a serum skin tint and there are 8 skin loving ingredients here. This is too skincare-y to the point where I find it doesn't agree with any other base or skincare product that I have underneath it, and it pills up. The literal only way I can get this to not pill up is to have literally nothing on my skin, which I have literally nothing on my skin, so it's going to make a liar out of me. It's going to seem that way, but the second I have a moisturizer, SPF, a makeup primer, it's going to disagree with it. So it's $42, and it also attaches to dry patches on the skin. I would say the Fenty is better than this, honestly. I like the deodorant style packaging of it. Yeah, I'm just going to push this into the skin. Some claims of it is that it has a natural finish that I do agree with, and a light coverage. And with the skincare ingredients in it, it's supposed to over time smooth like fine lines, wrinkles, protect and restore the skin, deliver youthful skin. I don't know. Anyways, I really, for the most part, hate this product because it pills with everything, and I do feel that it sits on top of the skin, but it's relatively unusable for me because I need to have my skincare on. I have dry skin. So this one, needless to say, did not work out for me. Okay, I would say at this point is where things start taking a turn. I don't think any of the rest of the foundations are bad. These next few coming up didn't work for me, but I can absolutely see an audience for them. So those 3 that I just showed were the ones that I wouldn't recommend them to anybody, but the next one that I have is the One Size Turn Up the Base Blurring Foundation. It's $35. Now, One Size in general is just one of those brands that I feel caters more to oily skin. They are slowly adding more products for dry skin, but this was launched in the era of oily skin products for them, so keep that in mind. It just really isn't for my skin type, but it gives pretty full coverage like most things in the line. This is shade number light 3N. It looks a little gray, I feel like. But it says medium to full buildable coverage, but you can definitely get up to a full coverage with this. It's supposed to absorb oil and have a soft matte finish, so that just sounds like terrible for my dry skin. It was better for when I lived in Miami because I was sweaty. I'm not as sweaty anymore for now. It gets hot in Maryland in the summer. But anyways, this is a product where I feel like I look good from afar. But if you come up close, it's not as nice looking. Let me turn the lights down so you can see a little bit better. So I think this sits fine on this skin, but as time goes on, I feel like my skin shrivels up like a dried prune with this. But because of its full coverage and its matte finish, from a distance, like my skin, when I look in the mirror, I'm like, slay girl. But then I get close and I'm like, drink a glass of water, girl. So this just is not a foundation for me. I think if you have oily skin, this is definitely a product to consider. His line in general, really great full coverage product made for oily skin types. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Definitely a not for me product, but it might be for you. I don't think the price is too bad on it as well because we have some expensive foundations in today's video. Now we have Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Medium Coverage Liquid Foundation with Hyaluronic Acid. I'm just reading this right off the Sephora website. Wow, they put a lot in the name there. I think it's supposed to be like buzzwords, you know, when you look up something. Anyways, ignore me. That's like behind the scenes stuff. So this is $49. You know, Charlotte Tilbury is an up there brand. I'm excited about her new foundation stick that's about to come out, but generally speaking, I do not like her complexion products like foundation and concealers. I don't love this product. I have this in shade 4 Neutral. As the foundation sits, the pigments kind of separate, the color pigments, so I always have to mix them up. Anyway, so this is supposed to be long wear. They say 16 hours, natural glow foundation, medium buildable coverage, hydrate, blur, smooth pores, brighten skin. And I'm naming all these things that they say on the website to confirm or deny the claims that you might see when you look it up. So she's a thick foundation. It does not work out like butter, as you can see. So gotta put a little bit of elbow grease into her. Generally speaking, I just find that this foundation sits really heavy on my skin and it doesn't really hydrate like it says it's going to. It has a glowy finish, but sometimes glowy finishes can go the opposite way when it comes to dry skin and emphasize dry patches that you might have. That's how I feel about this product. It gives pretty good coverage though. In terms of longevity, it's okay. It starts to look a little bit heavy after a while. I can make it work, right? I'm not gonna have my worst makeup day with this product, but I'm certainly not going to have my best. I think it's overpriced. I think if you're gonna spend $50 on a foundation, I can give you so many better recommendations. But look, it just looks heavy, it looks thick, it looks cakey, it doesn't give that natural finish that it claims. The glow is pretty, but then you get up close and it's like, ooh, you need some vanilla frosting on you, cake girl. So yeah, I've never been a fan of this. I'm really not a fan of any Charlotte Tilbury foundation, so I'm crossing my fingers for the new foundation stick. And if you're wondering about the Airbrush Flawless Finish foundation, I just told you I didn't like it, but that will be in part 2. It's not in today's video. This one I have mixed opinions about. This is the MAC Studio Radiance Serum Powered Foundation. That word serum is a very popular word. This is $46. I have mine in the shade NW11. It's a little bit light for me. But anyways, the claims of this one is that it's supposed to feel weightless on the skin. I do really agree on that. It has a really thin, liquidy consistency. It also claims it has 24 hours of hydration. I don't know about all that now, but that is the claim to it. And I think this foundation does do well on my dry skin, so I do think it's a good match for my dry skin girls out there. Smooths texture, evens tones, and blurs the look of pores. I think that's a bit dramatic. I don't think it necessarily blurs pores. I think it just goes over them, to be honest. It doesn't emphasize them, but it also doesn't do them any favors. But this is just a foundation where I have inconsistent results with it. Some days I think it looks nice. Some days I feel like it doesn't wear as well. Some days it looks a little bit more dry than others. And it also really depends on what products I pair it with. You know, this does not carry the team on a good makeup day. Other products have to. Sometimes some foundations are so good that you can pair that foundation with bad products and you still have a good makeup day. This foundation, for me, on my skin to have a good makeup day, needs to be paired with other good products. But nonetheless, I think it's a nice weightless foundation. It has a little bit of a natural glow here, nothing too obnoxious. And if you don't like the feel of a heavy foundation, this is good, and it gives up to medium coverage. So it's a solid okay foundation for me. And like I said, wear time, it can be good or it can be bad depending on what other products I pair with it. So do be mindful of that. They have a serum from MAC that is phenomenal to pair with it because it's nice and hydrating, and I feel like the two of them work in tandem together. So it's expensive to purchase two together, but I really feel like this was made for that serum, and that's when I get the best look and wear out of this product. I'm curious to try other MAC foundations. I really am. I have a couple affordable options here. This is a new one at the drugstore. This is the Makeup Revolution Skin Silk Luminous Serum Foundation. Comparing it to those other prices, it is only $14. Now, this is one of the newer ones to me, so I'm still also kind of getting my feet wet with these and really learning how I feel about it. I feel like lately Makeup Revolution has really elevated their brand. Like, this packaging is gorgeous. I'm using the shade F6. But from what I can tell so far from the handful of times that I've used this, I definitely think this is my favorite foundation from Makeup Revolution. One thing I find with a lot of Makeup Revolution foundations is they oxidize like crazy. This one oxidizes a little less than the ones that I've used, but some claims to this is it's a soft as silk. That I do agree with. It's really thin, really soft as on the skin, very light, and powered by skincare. It has that serum word, skincare word, hyaluronic, peptide complex, everything you're seeing with the new, more quote-unquote viral, better selling foundations. They all have those key terms. And you can see it does give a lighter coverage to the skin. We have a little bit of a glow that I feel like can be manipulated by what products you have underneath. Light to medium coverage, that I do agree with. You're definitely not going to get more of a medium coverage with this. But honestly, I've really enjoyed this. I don't feel confident enough to give a final review on this, but my dry skin has enjoyed this. It hasn't been a game-changing product by any means for me, but I feel like it's had good longevity, nothing that I've looked down on. It's felt pretty lightweight, occasionally can look dry depending on what products I pair it with, but for the most part, my skin has enjoyed this. So for an early review, I would say that this is a good pickup from the drugstore and pretty much by far my favorite Makeup Revolution complexion product. I mean, it looks so pretty. Okay, so I feel like this one could have gone into the more classic foundation roundup, but this is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation. So this kind of went re-viral because they repackaged this and they reformulated it, I think to give it a more modern formulation. This was one of the first foundations that I made my mom purchase for me at CVS. I remember the day, back when it was just in like a little bottle that had a twisty cap. I needed this one, had no clue what color to get, so they now all come with pumps. If it's been a long time since you've used this, it's $13.99 at Ulta, which tends to be a little bit more expensive. So this became re-viral when pretty much they started sending this to influencers once it was redone. And it's a really good classic foundation from the drugstore. It has a nice thin feel to it. Like you can almost blend it out with your fingers. And their claim to fame is that you will find the perfect match because the shade range in this, there is a lot of shades. It also is supposed to provide a medium coverage, which I definitely agree with. It's not a heavy medium coverage, it's more of a light medium coverage. It's supposed to lock in moisture, a natural finish, very blendable. That claim is true. It's blending into the skin really easily because of how thin it is. I barely have to do any work, which is really nice because sometimes foundations can be thick and take a little bit more time to blend in. So here's how it's looking. For me, this is a good middle of the road kind of foundation. It doesn't do my skin too much favors in that it's not like blurring or perfecting, but it definitely evens out the coverage. And while it doesn't do my skin much favors in terms of the texture, it also doesn't emphasize it. It just kind of evens out the skin and leaves the texture as is. And you can use different products to fix up the texture as you want. This is not my most reached for drugstore foundation, but it definitely is not a bad one because of how lightweight it feels on the skin. The wear on my skin for this is decent. It's not the most long wearing. Like I said, it's a middle of the road foundation. It's not the most long wearing, but it also isn't the most short wearing foundation either. I do think it is versatile for a lot of different skin types. Maybe not my first recommendation at the drugstore, but if you want to try it, I wouldn't discourage it. It's a decent foundation. The next two I have are both the e.l.f. Cosmetics CC Cream. I've had the original e.l.f. Cosmetics CC Cream for a while. If you're new to this industry, pretty much anything e.l.f. launches goes extremely viral because they create great quality products at an affordable price point. They're perfectly on trend, well formulated, and nicer on our wallets than a lot of other brands though. Over the years, we know e.l.f. has creeped up in price, but this is $15. I use the shade Light 210N. And yes, this is definitely a dupe for the IT Cosmetics CC Cream, which will be in the part 2 of the more classic products. I don't think this is as beautiful as the original IT Cosmetics CC Cream, but this is really, really good. I've had this in my collection for some time and I've enjoyed it a lot. It's nice and thick like the original, and when I say original, I mean the IT. They say this has medium to full coverage. I would say this doesn't quite reach full. It has SPF, and it's supposed to like color correct, be hydrating, improve skin texture, all of those claims. It looks really nice. The IT Cosmetics definitely has more of a glow to it. I think that this is a solid pickup from the drugstore. It's very easy to use. I think it'll work with a lot of different skin types. I like this one a lot. My main critique about this is with wear time. Sometimes, like on a really hot day, it can look a little heavy and cakey on the skin, or when paired with heavier products, this tends to look heavy. Less is more when it comes to the application on this product. But again, e.l.f. $15, this is not something to turn your nose up at. I think this is a great pickup from the drugstore. I thought it would be fitting on the other side of my face to show you what the hydrating CC cream will look like. Now this is newer in my collection. I've used it a good number of times at this point, but it did launch within the last couple of months. It's also $15. Now this one, they say, also gives you the full coverage that the original gives, but also is going to give a smooth, more glowy finish. You know what's interesting? I don't think I've ever worn these side by side. And if I did, I forgot. I probably might have when I first got this. So I'm just gonna use my IT brush that they're copying to push this in. Oh yeah, it does have a glowier finish. This, to me, performs very similar to the original. I feel the same way about it. I think it's a really nice pickup. I've enjoyed the days that I've worn it. Some days it can look heavy. It's not the longest lasting foundation in my collection by any means, so I'm not wearing this on a day where I'm going to be out and about for hours and hours and want to look good all day. But again, if you just want to pick up something that's good and reliable from the drugstore, I very much enjoy the e.l.f. one. And can you see the difference? I do feel like it does have more of a glowy finish. Now that glowy finish does emphasize pores more by nature, so it depends what kind of look that you're going for. I never thought about which one I liked better, the original or the glowy. I think it depends on the day and like the type of skin day that I'm having. If it's a dry day, I might want to go glowy. If it's more of a summer day and I want fresher looking skin, I might want to go glowy. But they're both very equal in performance, so it depends on the vibe that I'm going for. Like the biggest critique about both of these is they aren't super long wearing, but that's not always a concern of mine. But even then, on the long days, it doesn't look terrible. So these are pretty good. And as far as skin types, I recommend both of these for any type of skin type. I mean, if you really do not like glow and you're very, very oily, definitely go with the original. But glowy skin is it. And I can definitely see that side-by-side difference. We'll keep it going with e.l.f. and talk about their newest foundation. I don't know if this is viral per se, but it is e.l.f. So I'm just going to talk about it. It's the Soft Glam Satin Foundation. This launched literally like in the last week. I have shade 21 Neutral, and the price of this might pique your interest, $8. It's a whole fluid ounce, the same that you're going to get in the CC cream. So I don't know, and honestly, like, I might like this better than the CC creams. I think I do. Now, this is only my 4th time trying this on my face, so I'm still getting to know this product, but every time I've worn this, I've very much enjoyed how my skin looks. So the catch to this one is it is a satin finish, which is a little bit different than all of the glowy foundations that have been coming out. They say it's long-lasting, medium, buildable coverage. So you're definitely not getting full coverage with this. It's more on the natural side. I think that the finish of this is so flattering, especially if you have a lot of texture, pores, fine lines. I think you will really enjoy this foundation. It also, of course, has a lot of skincare ingredients that all the brands are talking about. It's non-comedogenic, 36 shades. I think this is great for all skin types. I have dry skin, and I will say, like, when I do the whole shebang with my concealer, my powders, all of that, my face can look dry with this foundation with some powder over top. So if you're super dry and you want it to look as hydrating as possible, keep powder to a minimum. But I love how lightweight this feels. I think the finish is stunning. I think this is prettier than the CC creams, and it's half the price. So I don't think I have any foundations in today's video that are under $10. So if you need to go the cheap route, you're not getting cheap quality with this e.l.f. It's not as long wearing as some of my favorite foundations that will keep me looking put together 12 hours a day, but it gets the job done. Not anything I'm upset with. So highly recommend that one. And you can look at the finish here. It's just yum. Now this one, super viral. I've always thought it was a little bit overhyped. So there you go. It's a good foundation, but it's overhyped to me. It's the REM Beauty Sweetener Foundation. I do really like the packaging here. It's $35. I have mine in the shade Light 6N. One thing about this is the pumps are big. Like when I do a full pump, it's too much for my whole face. So I'm gonna try and go minimal. A little goes a long way with this foundation. Clinically proven to hydrate the skin, apparently. It's a thicker consistency, but has almost like a soft matte blurring effect to the skin. There are 60 shades. That's actually like a ton. And it has a soft matte finish. Again, that's what helps give it that blur. Just using this gray brush, by the way, which is a REM Beauty brush. And I'm going to pat this into the skin. My best days with this foundation are when I apply the least amount. That's when I do very much enjoy it, but of course you're sacrificing coverage when you do that. It has about a medium coverage, I would say. It does build up, but when you build it up, honestly, it makes the foundation look thick and cakey on my complexion. Obviously, these are just my own personal experiences, but I'm speaking as somebody who has dry skin, and I just wouldn't recommend to apply too much of this, even though they do claim that it does have skincare ingredients. I mean, it's not a claim. That's what they put in it, but anyways, it does feel nice on the skin. It says, you know, everybody's skin feels more hydrated with it. I wouldn't say all that, but it doesn't dry out the skin. The problem is it's a bit heavy if you put too much on. It can look a little cakey. It can seep into fine lines. On me, a lot of people love this, but the key to success with this foundation, where I've really enjoyed it, is when I've applied not too much of the product. I've kept it light, and I am not a light-handed person, so that is difficult for me to do, especially, let me know if you're like this. Since so much product pumps out of this foundation, I always have too much, and I can't just let it sit there. So I end up piling it on my face anyways. This foundation did not do me well when I lived in Miami. This is more of a winter foundation for me. Ooh, I really like this foundation from Saie. It's their Glowy Super Skin Tint Foundation with hyaluronic acid. It's $40. I use the shade number 7, which is a bit dark for me. It has a really thin consistency to it, which makes the goal for this to be a lightweight product. I thought this was too dark for me. That's not the case. Ignore me. I think I have multiple shades of this. So anyways, they say this is a skin tint foundation. I didn't know that they considered it that. It's a foundation, if you ask me. It says it gives a dewy, luminous finish. You know what's interesting about this foundation is it like changes colors when you touch it if you don't blend the pigment prior to applying it to the face. Medium coverage brightens the skin for a dewy, luminous finish. I don't think it gives the dewiest finish, but it is a wetter foundation. I like it because I feel like it's super lightweight on the skin, but the pigment mixing, that is an issue if you don't shake it up beforehand, so make sure you go ahead and do that. I've always really enjoyed this foundation because I felt like it gave a glowy look, but not too glowy. And it felt really lightweight on the skin, which I enjoyed a lot when I lived in Miami. So that's kind of the key claims to this for me and why I really enjoyed it. It works really well on my dry skin. It says it's medium coverage. I don't think you hit quite medium coverage. You can fake it when you get to the concealer part of your makeup, but I think the coverage is quite light, but it definitely evens things out really nicely. Wear time on this, I haven't had an issue with its glowy nature. It's not gonna be a bulletproof product, but I think the skin looks really pretty throughout the day. I wouldn't recommend this for oily skin, but if you have oily skin and you enjoy it, please feel free to weigh in the comments. I don't have oily skin. This is all speculation on my part, but I really enjoyed this one. If you want really lightweight, dewy, and fresh, that clean girl kind of skin, and maybe you have some discoloration, so you want clean girl, but you want it with a little bit of coverage, this one will give you just enough. This next one, I have mixed opinions about. It's the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Liquid Foundation. I feel like the longer his line has been out, the more I've learned to appreciate the products and enjoy them a lot more. This is not a cheap one. She's $42. I used the shade 8N. Everyone had big concerns about this because if it hits the light, you can see the glitters in it. So here's how it's described online, and I kind of don't agree with a lot of these claims. Breathable, this ain't breathable, in my opinion. It's not thick, but it's like kind of dry. We'll talk about it. Luminous foundation that effortlessly builds and blends to illuminate the complexion with customizable long wearing coverage. This is, to me, a pretty full coverage foundation. I think that this foundation is more oily skin friendly. It can work for dry skin, but prep, please. But if you want a long wear foundation that's not completely flat, I think that this one is really great for that. It gives a really perfected look when built up a little bit. But I definitely wouldn't describe it as breathable or comfortable. It's a full coverage, heavy-duty foundation, if you ask me. So I'm not wearing this on a day that I want to be like clean girl, light, and natural. I find it to be very perfecting. I'm going to build it up a little bit here so that you can see, since I have some extra product on my palette. And the glitters that you see in the component, they don't show up on the skin, but the skin does have a very pretty luminous finish. And all things considered, with this being a luminous product, it doesn't really emphasize pores or texture at all, so that's really nice, because when you use a product like the Saie, for example, it's quite glowy, so when you go with glowy, you're sacrificing the smoothness of your pores, and I don't feel like I'm sacrificing that with this. So not for a natural makeup girly. Definitely more on the full coverage side, perfecting side, but still luminous. It's not a matte foundation. Very good longevity with this. This for me is an event foundation. But kind of why I have mixed opinions on it is because on my dry skin, it's not the best foundation on my dry skin. I need to prepare when I am going to wear that. But when I prepare properly, I really do enjoy that. I have another one from the drugstore. This is a really good one. It was totally worth the hype in my opinion. The NYX Bear With Me Blurring Tint Foundation. The shade match I have, it's jarring. Anyways, so this is $14. They call this a tint. I feel like there is nothing that is tint-like about this. It's a... Oh my god, bro. Just close your eyes, close your eyes. It's a medium coverage product. This finish though, it's so gorgeous. Like the way that it dries down, it is such a beautiful product. It's formulated with skin loving ingredients. But what I love about this is how blurring it is on the skin. So it does have that like soft matte finish to it, but the marketing behind this is no filter needed, and I totally agree with that, because that soft matte finish, it really does blur the skin. I so need to buy a different shade, and I need to stop putting so much product on my palette. I have too much left over. I'm wasting it all. Anyways, there's 24 different shades, perfect for normal, oily skin or combo to help control shine. Definitely, if you're on the oily or combo side, I recommend this for you. But guys, I have dry skin and I very much enjoyed this product, because even though I have dry skin, I do still have textured skin, and it's just perfect. Like, I just wouldn't wear a lot of powder with this product, and I think it wears a long time. This is a good one, totally worth the hype from the drugstore. Now, I mean, I think all of the claims about this product is true. All of the virality that you hear about it is worth it. A beautiful product. I mean, look at how that's sitting on my skin. Even though the coverage, I look like an Oompa Loompa. The color, a winner. This is going to be quite the opposite look on the skin, but next up I have the Makeup Forever HD Hydra Skin Glow Hydrating Foundation with hyaluronic acid. They gotta get that hyaluronic acid in there. It is $47, so she ain't cheap. I also love this foundation, and it's gonna look the complete opposite of what you'll see from the NYX side. I have this in the shade 1N14, which is a little dark on me, but we make it work. So this is what I would describe as glass skin in a bottle. If you've been looking for the perfect product that will give you glassy skin, it's this. It is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's a certain look. So if glassy skin isn't your jam and not the goal here, probably like if you have oily skin or something, I wouldn't recommend this. Now, Makeup Forever does have the original version of this, which I'll probably put in part 2. We'll see. I don't know if that's really viral. Anyways, doesn't matter. I might put that in part 2. But anyways, I think that this foundation feels so fresh and breathable. It gives a light medium coverage, probably buildable, I would say, to medium coverage. But I haven't come across a foundation that can give that glassy skin-like finish, but not really emphasize pores or texture. It's a look, but if you're going for that look, I think that this is really beautiful and comfortable on the skin, and despite it being so glowy, I think it has a really good wear time, especially if you pair it with a lot of other good products. So my dry skin loves this, and if you want that glassy look, this is the one. I find the finish of this to be so unique, and they achieved a look that so many other brands have tried to achieve, but it's just been like an oily, greasy, porous mess. Which, gotta be honest, to be expected from Makeup Forever. They're known for their great products, and I think they did it here. But this one is like love-hate relationship with a lot of people, so it just depends on your preferences. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the most viral foundation of 2024. Did that happen in 24? It should have. Anyways, this is the Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Waterproof Foundation. It's expensive. It's Mercier. It's $52. I have mine in the shade 2N1 Cashew. Listen, I'm not trying to be that person that was like, I knew about this first, but I'm so happy that it went viral, because I have been trying to tell people how good this dang foundation is. So here's how they describe it. A weightless foundation, and look at this. It's so thin, it soaks into the skin just with your finger, that blurs the line between makeup and skin with medium buildable coverage, waterproof wear, and up to 12 hours of fade-proof wear. So that's one of my favorite things about this foundation, is I think the longevity of it is incredible, but it's not one of those drying foundations. Like, of course it's got longevity because it has a dry base. Your oils aren't going to come through. This one still has a level of hydration to where it feels comfortable, looks comfortable, and just keeps your makeup looking really nice for a long time. I also like the really thin feel of it, but it does have buildable coverage, and it's really up to you how much coverage you get with this. Like, you can get a light coverage like this, or if you want, you can build it up. I'm not saying this is the #1 foundation in the world, but it's a really good one. And ever since I tried this and it launched, I've always recommended it to you guys because I just think it's a beautiful product. The only thing is, I will say, if you have dry skin, like for example, because I've tested how many foundations at this point, my skin is starting to dry out just from the removal and application. So it's looking a little bit dry because my skin is dry, so I have to really lightly pat over the dry patches. So definitely prep your skin beforehand, but it is a weightless, medium, light to medium coverage foundation that will last you all day. So I really enjoy this, and I think it works for all skin types. It has more of like a natural finish. It's not luminous, but it's not a flat finish. So it's very natural looking on the skin, meaning it's not going to emphasize texture or pores. It gives a second skin look, but second skin but a lot better, you know? She's worth the hype. Well, it was so hyped up. I don't know. But it's really, really good. And then this one has a lot of mixed opinions. I feel like people either love it or hate it. I'm on the love it side. It's the Urban Decay Face Bond Self-Setting Waterproof Foundation. It's $40. I use the shade Light Neutral. And you know what? I popped this foundation on my face for the first time without really even reading the description. I don't know what it was, but I purchased this during the Sephora sale in store, and I saw that Urban Decay had launched this, and I kind of just blindly picked it up without having done any research on it because I didn't have a lot of prior experience with Urban Decay foundations, and I was like, I'm gonna try this new one, and I put it on my face, and I was like, oh my god, like this is such a pretty foundation. It doesn't need to be set. Like I made that discovery without knowing that was the intention, where I was like, wait, this is so good. It lasts such a long time and you don't need to set it, which is really great for dry skin or people that don't like to use a lot of powder. And then, of course, I looked into it and I was like, it's actually intended to be formulated that way. So they achieved that without me having to be told how to use it. So I was really happy about that. That is a true claim if you ask me. You don't need to set it. It does it itself. And by that, I mean, it doesn't necessarily dry down like in a way that feels tight or dry, but it does self-set to where, you know, you touch it, it doesn't transfer. They say it's lightweight, waterproof. I don't know about waterproof, but it has really good longevity. Skincare benefits of a serum, self-setting powder for blurring effect in a medium coverage matte finish. I do agree this gives a true medium coverage, but even though they say it's like a powder matte finish, I don't think it's fully flat. There's a natural finish to it that it has. You put a little bit of powder over it and then it's definitely matte, but if you leave it on its own to self-set, I think it looks really nice and natural. I think it's great for dry skin because if you don't set it, you don't need to add powder, so then your skin looks more hydrated. I think it would also work really good for oily skin. You want extra hold? Then set it with some powder, because I have set this with powder even on my dry skin and it doesn't make the foundation too dry. So anyways, it's a really self-sufficient foundation. It doesn't need to be paired with a lot of products to make it last a long time. Long wear, lightweight, medium coverage, great longevity. I really, really enjoy this from Urban Decay. And if you just want to take a closer look at how that's sitting on the skin, like, it's good. It's real good. This one is so popular, so loved, so reliable. I almost debated putting it in the classics video, but it is still kind of new, so I put it in this one. It's the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Medium Coverage Foundation with Fermented Arnica. It is $45 and it's a gorgeous foundation. I mixed two shades. I mixed a little bit of light neutral and a little bit of light warm, which is a little bit brighter. Overall, this foundation is really stunning. It's versatile, which is why so many people love it. And I think it's one of those foundations that's going to be really popular, a top-selling foundation for a long, long time. Because it really, when it comes to this foundation, I wonder, like, what is there not to love? So they say it's a medium coverage. I agree with that. Weightless, yep, clean foundation with their key ingredients, fermented arnica. I'm not a ingredient buff, so I'm not going to go over that. Helps reduce redness, protects from environmental stress. And I'm telling you, they have some good ingredients in here because my skin, it's a little irritated from what I'm putting it through today. Lots of taking off, putting on. And putting this foundation on, I swear, it's soothing the skin. It feels really, really nice. I think it does have a customizable coverage to it as well. You can get a light to medium build up here. The finish of it is natural, so based on like what you put underneath, say if you put something on really glowy, you can get a glowy look with this foundation. So it's really malleable to how you want it to be. You can really customize this to get a glowy finish, to get a more matte foundation if you don't put anything too glowy underneath and you put on some powder over top. If you want it to look full coverage, you can pop on nose is itchy. You can pop on a little bit of concealer. I think it works great for all skin types. My dry skin loves it. My irritated, sensitive skin is finding it to be soothing. And just look how pretty and skin-like this is. So this is one where it's worth the hype in my opinion. It's a repurchasable foundation. I think it's going to be really popular for a long time. When somebody runs out of it, I can see them wanting to pick up another one because it's reliable. It's kind of middle of the road of, you know, not too glowy, not too matte, not too full coverage, not too light coverage, and you have some flexibility here as to what you want to get out of it. So a good one, stamp of approval here, and I do think it has really good longevity to it as well without feeling too uncomfortable and drying. So she's definitely a good one, you guys. This is so good. I feel like it was underhyped. I don't know why I have 3 colors. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go with LM1. I think that's my shade. This is the About Face, the Performer Skin Focused Foundation. $22. You know makeup's too expensive when $22 sounds cheap here. Some may deem this packaging as unsanitary. Whatever, I'm only putting it on myself. I like the doe foot applicator that it comes with. So their claims to this is that it's buildable, breathable, medium coverage, long wear, second skin finish. All I can say is check, 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 check. Yes, it does feel, I don't want to say lightweight on the skin. That might be pushing it. Like, it's a foundation. I feel it on the skin, but it does feel more breathable than a lot of the other foundations that I've tried today. I do agree that it has a medium coverage as well, and it has a second skin finish, meaning it's more of like a natural finish, a little bit glowier than some other natural finish foundations that I've mentioned here, but it does have that beautiful second skin finish and second skin blend. It's very easy to apply. It feels nourishing on my dry skin as well. And I think the doe foot really allows you to customize what level of coverage you want to get, and you can spot conceal as well with this. Not like a full coverage concealer by any means, but like I have a zit here. Let me just pop on a little bit of extra here. It definitely won't build you up to a full coverage. But tell me, that looks like a gorgeous second skin finish. Just comparing it to the House Labs, you definitely do get a little bit more of a glow with this. It's a little bit more of a wet kind of foundation in the dry down and the feel. I've really enjoyed this. I love how quick and easy it is to apply. I feel like it just melts into the skin. Decent longevity as well. Nothing that I can think of like coining it as super long wear. I can't think of an instance where I tried this on and I was like, gosh, this wears forever. But also the opposite didn't happen. So I think it has a good middle of the road wear time as well to it. This is in around the kind of finish that I really enjoy, especially in the winter time. I don't need it too glowy in the winter, but I need a little bit of extra hydration, and I feel like that this would give it to me. So around the $20 price point, really great. At this day and age, I think they did a phenomenal job with this foundation. It's stunning. Like, as you can tell, for a while we've been at the part of the video where all of these viral foundations that I'm talking about, I love them. They're so good. We're at the, I would say these are the top 2, roughly. But this one, it didn't quite get the press to be viral, but it's so good. I want to talk about it, so I'm going to. It's the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation for buildable coverage. Interesting. I don't know. $34. And this to me is like second skin in a bottle, but like a skin that you wish you had, okay? Because it gives you coverage and it's a little bit glowier and fresher of a finish than like what a second skin foundation would be considered. So it's like, you know, it's your skin, but like so much better. What you wish you could. It gives you like the Korean skin that's so smooth and so glowy. So they say it's a hydrating gel cream. Yes, it is a hydrating gel cream foundation that nourishes skin for buildable light to medium coverage with a natural to you finish. And how I described this when it first launched was like, it gives you that Glossier girl skin look, but for those of us who need a little bit of coverage, because they do have a skin tint for that Glossier look, which, you know, supposed to be super natural, but it was like water, no coverage at all. Like some of us have discoloration Glossier, and I feel like that is what this product answered for those type of people, because it gives that glowy, dewy, fresh Glossier skin look, but it evened out all of the problems. I would say this does have a medium, I would say, coverage, a glowy finish, but still, like, this is what I want my skin to look like. It's not really realistic second skin, but it's like, if I could have it, I want it to be this. It also wears a really long time. Again, with my sensitive skin right now, irritated, it felt nourishing on my skin. So this didn't quite make the cut, I would say, to be viral, but this one had its moment. I'm trying to make this one happen, okay? It's really, really delicious for my dry skin. I don't necessarily know about somebody with oily skin, so if you want to weigh in on that, I would very much appreciate it. But on my dry skin, yes. And then this last one, I would say right now, it's my foundation of the year. It's one of my all-time favorite foundations now at this point. Fenty Beauty came in and just created one of the best foundations ever. It's the Soft Lit Naturally Luminous Hydrating Longwear Foundation. It's $40. And Fenty has launched a range of foundations that I didn't really like, if I'm being honest. I've never really loved their complexion until we got this. I use the shade 185. They say it's a hydrating and glowy foundation that's waterproof. I haven't tested its waterproof ability. Reduces shine for a notch above a natural finish. Ah, I even love how that's how they described it, because I feel like that's how I describe products, where if it says it's a natural finish, I'll be like, oh, you know, it's a notch above. I was an absolute hater of the original Fenty foundation, and just in general, the line I felt like catered more towards oily skin girls. This is the dry skin answer in the Fenty line, and it's exactly as described, where it's a notch above a natural finish. But this is one where you can manipulate it. I could make this look matte with the right products. It gives about a medium coverage, I would say. It sits gorgeous on the skin, and the skin looks gorgeous for a very, very long time. I'm quite impressed with this being a glowy finish, but how long it lasts. It feels flexible. It feels lightweight. It blends in like butter. Like, what can I not say about this foundation? Of this entire video, at least if you have dry skin, this is my #1 recommendation. This, in my opinion, not even viral enough. Like, some of these, I'm like, they really got that attention. This one deserves a lot of attention, and I feel like Fenty has really notched it up. I have been enjoying a lot of their new products, and it started off with this. When I first tried it, I was so dubious about it. I was like, oh, I just don't like their products, and then it just shook me to the core. So as much as I would love to leave this video with my makeup all done, showing you I know how to do makeup, my skin is done for the day. So we're gonna leave it at this. I hope you guys found this foundations video helpful. If you have any input on any of these foundations, share your skin type, share your experience. Foundation is so personal. I just feel like everybody's experience with foundation is a little bit different. But I do hope, if you were kind of narrowing down what one you wanted to pick out, this video was of help to you. And make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel, because I've already started pulling products for part 2 of the more cult favorite classic foundations. I do need to give my skin at least a week though to recover from all of this, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.